Hi, today we are going to be making something very delicious, and it's actually going to take overnight to make. So I'm going to be making this on 2 different days. So I'm going to start my first part tonight, and then tomorrow morning or afternoon I'll finish it. What I'm making today is I'm making some bread. This bread is so yummy, and it's my favorite thing to make. So let's get started. First, we have our flour, our salt, some water, and then this stuff which is called yeast. Now the yeast helps to make the bread rise. It helps it to get nice and big so it doesn't stay flat, and that's very important. So we're gonna start with our flour, and we need 3 cups of flour. So I have my cup. I'm gonna have 3 cups. Now I really like this bread. You do need a special kind of pot to make it, but you can get those at the store, and they're good for making other things too. So I have 1, 2, 3. Oops. So I have 3 cups of flour. All right, so I'm all done with my flour. Next, I need 1.5 teaspoons of salt. So I have 1. Scrape that off. 1. And then I need 1/2 teaspoon of salt. We don't want to add too much salt, otherwise it won't taste very good. Now, I need 1/2 teaspoon of yeast. Now, the yeast is what helps the bread to get nice and big. So I used some of this before, so I kind of taped it shut. So I need to open it. So I wanted it to stay nice and fresh. Okay. And they come in these little packs. Okay, so I'm gonna get 1/2 teaspoon of that. Okay, so 1/2 teaspoon of yeast. I'm gonna sprinkle that in there. And I'll tape that up a little bit later. So now I'm gonna whisk that together. I used the whisk when we were making chocolate chip cookies, but this is what a whisk is. So I'm gonna whisk up the flour, the salt, and the yeast. So now that that is all mixed together, we'll need a spoon for this next part. So now I'm going to slowly add the water in. All right, so I'm going to mix the water in. Kind of slowly mixing. You can kind of start to see it's starting to come together a little bit. Starting to come together. I need to use 2 hands, one to hold my bowl. Looks good. Need some more water though. So we want to make sure that it's nice, that all the flour and stuff sticks together. We don't want it kind of falling apart. Ooh, it's starting to come together good. We might need just a little bit more water, because as you can see, not all that flour is stuck together yet. So I always have a little extra cup. Sometimes we just need a little bit extra. There we go. To get our dough together. That looks a lot better. So I would say that looks pretty good. So I'm going to wipe this off because we want to leave that in there. All right. So now that our dough is mixed, I need to let it sit. And I am going to let it sit overnight, because what's going to happen is the yeast in this dough, that special ingredient that makes it get bigger, is going to work overnight. It doesn't just make it get bigger. Sometimes you have to let it sit until it gets nice and big, and that is exactly what we are going to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some plastic wrap so you can kind of look to see what the dough looks like now. Well, I quick wash off my fingers. All right, so now I'm going to take this plastic wrap, and to help it get nice and big, what we're going to do is we're going to cover it. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to cover it. Okay. Stuff can sometimes be a little bit tricky. So smooth it down on the sides. Okay. And we are going to let that sit for, I let it sit for 16 hours. So right now it is about 9:45 at night. So I will check on this at probably about 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. But for right now, we're just gonna let it sit on the counter just like that. See you guys tomorrow. All right, so it's the next morning. Our dough has gotten very big. Let's take a look in there. And if you look at it from last night to today, it's gotten very big, which is exactly what we wanted because our yeast was active and it made our dough rise. This is our special pot that we are going to use. This is called a Dutch oven, and it's made out of metal. You can hear it's made out of metal, but it has this coating on it. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna put this in our oven, which is nice and hot, for 30 minutes to get this nice and warm so that our bread can go in it to cook. So let's go ahead and put it in our oven. Right, so we'll leave that in there for 30 minutes, let our little oven heat up, and then we'll be ready to put our dough in. All right, so our Dutch oven is all ready to come out. It has been heating up. Gotta be really careful because it's really hot. Set it down here. Now it's time to put the bread in. So what we are going to do is we're gonna get this parchment paper. I'm gonna get some out, probably about that much is good. Now, I'm gonna take some flour, and I'm gonna just sprinkle some flour on our parchment paper, because we don't want our bread to stick. So I'm just gonna sprinkle some of that there. A little bit more. All right, that looks pretty good. So now we're gonna take our dough and we're gonna put it onto our parchment paper. I'm quick checking my recipe to make sure I didn't forget anything. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna take my dough. I'm gonna lift it up. Look how big that got. Wow. All right, now I'm gonna dump it on into there. I'm gonna grab a spoon in case I need to help it out. Okay, so here's my spoon in case I need to help it out. All right, so let's go ahead and we're just gonna let that kind of go. And sometimes I can even take my fingers, put some flour on there, just kind of help get all that unstuck. Doesn't help that this bowl is quite heavy. Oh, there it's going. All right, so we're just gonna kind of let it fall out. Okay. Bread dough can be very sticky. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna make sure all of this stuff comes out too. I'm gonna grab that with my fingers and let that come out. Okay. So I don't want it like this. I kind of want it in a ball. Again, I'm gonna take some flour on my fingers, just kind of get it into more of a circle shape. Okay. So now I'm gonna quick rinse off my fingers, then I'm gonna put my dough into my Dutch oven. Get all that sticky dough off my fingers. Okay. Dry those off with a paper towel. Now again, I need to use a pot holder because that is very hot. Okay. I'm even gonna grab something to put it on. So I don't want my lid burning anything. Okay. Ooh, very hot. All right, so I'm gonna take this. Just gonna gently pick it up. Put it right in there. Okay. I'm gonna put the lid back on and we're gonna put it in the oven for 30 minutes. All right, I'm gonna push that down. Don't want it touching. All right, so I'm gonna take my lid. I'm just gonna slide that on top of there. All right, now I'm gonna quick open our oven door and we're gonna put the bread in. All right, here we go. All right, so now we're gonna let that cook for 30 minutes and then we'll check on it. All right, so our bread has been cooking for 30 minutes. Now what we need to do is we're gonna take the top off of the Dutch oven and we're gonna let it cook for about 15 more minutes to get a really nice crust or outside on the bread. So I'm gonna reach in so carefully and take it out. You can go ahead and look and see what the bread looks like right now. All right, so we're gonna let it cook for about another 15 more minutes and then we'll be done. All right, our bread is done. Let's go ahead and take it out. That looks very good. Now, the way that we test, I'm gonna quick close this so I don't burn anybody. Now, the way that you test bread is a little bit different. So what you have to do is you have to take this and you kind of have to pick it up and you have to flip it over and then you have to go and you listen. And if it makes a sound, kind of like if you were to tap on like an empty box, that means that it's done. So it sounds like it's done. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna put this on my cooling rack. So what that does is it lets the bread cool. All right. And that is how I make my bread. Hope you guys enjoyed it.